broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey there, AfterBuzz TV fans. Welcome to another edition of The Voice Of. I'm your host, Megan Salinas, and joining me here in the studio is our very, very special guest, James Arnold Taylor.
Well, thank you for having me. I mean, this is an appropriate thing for a voice actor to be on. So I'm excited. I'm ready to go. You can put me through my paces, whatever you want, Megan. Okay?
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Absolutely.
Before we get started, I wanted to go ahead and remind our listeners and our viewers that if you haven't already done so, please go to iTunes and YouTube and subscribe to AfterBuzz TV, SoundCloud. We're on all of those platforms. Rate, leave a comment. We love hearing from you guys. And be sure to follow us on AfterBuzz TV on Twitter, and actually use the hashtag #TheVoiceOf if you guys happen to have any questions for our wonderful guest.
Oh yeah, see, I should be doing that right now too. Get on and Twitter and tweet, and it's so much to keep up with, but
I know it's exhausting,
yes,
but it's also so much fun.
It is.
Nothing's more exciting than getting like a million notifications in one day.
I do that every once in a while. I'll do what we call Ask Chat. And I open it up if I'm like waiting in line at something, or I'm in between sessions. And it's amazing how many people have questions for me. So it's always fun to do. So ask away, everybody. I'm ready. So whatever, and you ask away. What would you like to know?
First of all, I wanted to know, how was Star Wars Celebration this year?
Oh man, so Star Wars Celebration happens every 2 to 3 years. And I hosted it last time, which was Star Wars Celebration 6. This was technically Star Wars Celebration 7, but we called it Celebration Anaheim because it was out here in Anaheim. And it was a great time. We had the biggest turnout ever. We had the best guests. We had obviously this little announcement that they were making about this movie and, a new teaser trailer.
Is it an indie film?
I think it is. It's small film. This new director, J.J. Abrams. But it was very exciting. And I got to host the main stage. So I was privileged to be able to interview all of the big names and stars from the world of Star Wars, from Ian McDiarmid, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Anthony Daniels, Ray Park, Billy D. Williams. I was also very honored to be able to do my one-man stage show, Talking to Myself, which I did in a double feature with Mark Hamill that day, and on Saturday. And then we had like game shows. We did a game show that was a feud of the Force, kind of a Family Feud type. It wasn't Family Feud, but it was like that. And we had the dark side versus the light side. And the dark side smoked the light side. They didn't stand a chance. So it was great fun. It was a lot of fun.
It was like the Empire Strikes Back then of game
it was.
shows.
You're right. Wow,
that's
good.
Fantastic. Now, as a Star Wars fan, what is it like being able to actually be a part of the Star Wars community in that way?
Yeah, it is. It's always an honor. It's always kind of a trip for me because I've been doing this now for 13 years. I've been the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and so anytime Obi-Wan talks, they will call me to do it. And so it's great to do. It's a lot of fun, but it's also somebody that grew up with Star Wars, the original ones. I was 7 years old when they came out. Seen all of them, loved all of them. To be in this world now is really a cool thing, and I do kind of pinch myself because all these people in the world of Star Wars are now friends that, I get to talk to quite often and interview in these settings to where they're just sick of me now. So that's the problem. But no, it's great. It's all fun. Yeah.
Now, you also have another Star Wars event coming up in a couple weeks. My co-host Dylan on Star Wars
Is
Rebels.
Is he gone? Yeah.
No, I don't think he can make it out to Florida, but he did want me to ask you about it.
Yes. Okay. So the other one is Star Wars Weekends. Now, Star Wars Weekends happens every year at Disney World in Hollywood Studios in Orlando, Florida. And this will be my 5th year hosting the event, the 7th time I've been at the event. And it is a lot of fun. So it is 5 weeks. Last year we did 5 weeks, and it was such a hit they decided to do it again. So every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday throughout, May 14th through June 15th, we will be there putting on shows. Every morning starts with a motorcade, big parade, and you see me waving. I go by, and I wave. And then I get up on stage and I do this big welcome, and we have all the celebrity guests that we have. Each week we have different celebrity guests from the world of Star Wars, from Rebels, from all the movies and such. And then we do shows. So in a theater, I have a talk show and I interview them like the Tonight Show type of thing. We have lots of games and fun with them. Then we also have a show for Rebels. We have a specific show to Rebels where we're going to be interviewing the cast of Rebels, or I will be. And then I'll be doing my stage show, which we call Obi-Wan and Beyond when we're at Star Wars Weekends. We give it a little different name. It's a little shorter. It's a compact version of it, but it's a lot of fun. Then we have Ray Park doing his one-man show where it's, well, I shouldn't say it's a one-man show. It's a, because I interview him. I'm kind of his straight man in it. He shows us all his martial arts, kicks at me and swords, and I get scared. And then Warwick Davis does his one-man show, which is fantastic for the weeks that they're there. Then, I know you're like, James, enough.
No, I'm just blown away.
The end of the night, every night, Friday through Sunday, we do a Symphony in the Stars fireworks finale. So I come out for Summon the Force, and we bring all the characters out. The bad guys shoot at me, try to kill me, in some Star Wars way, and it's a fun way. And the good guys protect me. And then at the end of it, we say, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and the sky lights up. And it is honestly, I've seen hundreds of fireworks displays. This is the best one, and it's set to John Williams music, so the hair stands up and you get chills.
Get goosebumps.
It's beautiful, and it's really one of those things where, again, only Disney can kind of put it together that way. So it's a complete immersion into Star Wars for fans, and it's a lot of fun.
Are there still tickets available?
There are, because you can just go anytime. So any admission into the park for any of the studios at Disney gets you in. So, and then there's, you just go and try to see the shows that we've got going on. But they've got characters, they've got stormtroopers, they've got the new stormtroopers. Now, I don't know if you know, the new stormtrooper helmets and armor and everything, which was introduced
in the
for
trailer,
the first time.
yeah.
Yeah, in the trailer. And then they had them at Celebration. So they've got some of those, and we'll be there, and little surprises. We got a lot going on. It'll be fun.
So there are a couple teases and maybe some exclusives that people can expect?
Well, you could have used maybe you did use the Jedi mind trick on me just then, because I'm about to tell you. Yes, there will be some exclusives. There will be some surprises. And, everybody thought, oh, well, you got all of them out at Celebration. No, there'll be some definite little fun things that we get to show there. And, I should say, the 5th week, we have Frank Oz coming, which...
Oh, wow.
Frank Oz has never done any of these before. So I will be sitting down and interviewing him every day for an hour, and we'll have a conversation and talk about his amazing career. And being Yoda as well. So pretty cool.
No pressure with
that.
No
pressure at all. I know. What, you want me to ask him anything for you? I mean, you think about it.
Gosh.
And you can tweet me or whatever. But,
I'll if I think of anything
Okay.
right on the spot, I can't think of anything.
I know, it's always hard.
But yeah, no, definitely for Yoda.
Okay.
Absolutely. I do want to ask though, going off of you being the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
You did a very interesting blend to create this voice because your impressions are spot on.
Oh, thank you very much.
But was there anything in particular you did to kind of make the character your own?
Yes, and thank you for asking. So when I started doing it, it was, again, 13 years ago when we were doing the Clone Wars micro series. At the time, the movies were still being made. And so they asked me to really match Ewan McGregor's voice. And so I would do his voice, it was up higher, and it's him doing an impression of Alec Guinness, who's doing a younger, and it was phenomenal. When I first heard him open his mouth in The Phantom Menace, I was like, he's doing a young Alec Guinness, and it's perfect. He's doing a young Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I had to do his voice more. And then I was asked, when we did the Clone Wars series, or they said, George Lucas was very kind, and Dave Filoni, our director, to say, these characters are now your characters. You're going to play these characters for a long time, God willing. And we got to, which was cool. So make them your own. So I really tried to be reflective of both of these two amazing actors that played him on screen. The crazy part is I've actually voiced and played more Obi-Wan Kenobi than either of them or any other actor because of all the years of Clone Wars and the games and the other shows. So mine is really, I take a little Ewan McGregor and I take a little Alec Guinness and I combine them into my own, which is a little deeper and a little more maybe controlled and trying to kind of be that fatherly figure to Anakin, and so it becomes that. So this is my Obi-Wan Kenobi. So it's I don't know. it just kind of happens with a character when you make it your own. Fred Flintstone, it was the same for me when I became the voice of Fred. I kind of combined both, and it became my own kind of version of it. And it's fun when they let you do that. So, yeah.
No, that's always good. That way you're not locked into a specific sound.
Exactly, yeah. And, being a voice actor in Hollywood and being a voice double, so I do a lot of my work is doubling celebrities. So if they're not available, I come in and fill in. Whether it's Johnny Depp doing his regular speaking voice, which is down here and very controlled, or if he's doing Captain Jack Sparrow, and he's where's the rum? Why is the rum gone? It's all that. Or if he's doing Willy Wonka or Alice. I've been doing a lot of Alice in Wonderland, and he's got this wonderful lisp right at the front of his mouth. So Johnny Depp, or I've been doing a lot of Jay Baruchel's voice for How to Train Your Dragon. So he's basically always it's nasal, and he's here and toothless, it's a lot of that. But I actually also do Fish Legs, which is Christopher Mintz-Plasse, who plays Fish Legs in that. Who was it was in Superbad. He was McLovin. So he was McLovin, and his voice is actually kind of similar to mine. It's just got a little more texture. So I just give it a little more texture, a little more nasal. And I think a little bit differently when I talk, which is also very similar to Michael J. Fox's voice, which is right there. So you just shift it over just a little. And then if you take it down just to here, it's Shia LaBeouf. And so they're all very similar. And people will go, hey, he's just doing the same voice. It's like, no, think about it. If you listen to them, you just move it just a little and you get to the next one. And so it's fun. Those ones are trickier than if I'm doing a voice like, say, Fred Flintstone. Mm-hmm. Yabba dabba doo, he's right there and he's very far away from my voice. So, Wilma, Bonnie. That is easier for me to go to that than it is to go to ones that are just a one-off. Michael J. Fox, whoa, wait a second, Doc, whoa, this is heavy, Mallory, whoa. It's all right, it's near my voice, so it's hard for me to get to it sometimes.
Yeah, you don't want to slip back into your own voice.
That's exactly it, Megan. That's what will happen if I'm not careful. So I gotta watch it.
I kind of wish I had grabbed popcorn from the other room, because I could just watch that all day.
Yeah, it's crazy, the voices that he does, I could use a little more cowbell. But everybody has a Christopher Walken. It's one of those voices now that everybody does. I've actually been fortunate enough to be his double for things. I did a video game where I doubled him, and the reviews for the game came out, and they said, oh, Christopher Walken was great in this game. And I didn't get credit on it. I was like, oh. But that's also the life of a voice actor. Most of the time, that's what I love about the show. The voice of is hearing and learning about voices, because we don't. Normally, if we do our job right, nobody sees us.
Yeah,
nobody knows
no
who
one
we
would
are.
know that wasn't Christopher Walken.
Well, you hope, yeah. You hope, but yeah. So it's fun to do. It's always great to kind of be in these rooms, as I always say, it's this little padded room talking to myself, being all these other people. And people will ask my wife a lot, so what's his real voice? She goes, I have no idea.
Could be an act all these times.
And it depends. It depends on the time of day. So sometimes my voice is lower, and sometimes it's up here. And if I'm doing, if I'm preparing for something, if I'm going to be doing How to Train Your Dragon, I find that I start kind of talking like Jay Baruchel a little throughout the day, and I'll be, so you just, you get into these different modes with the voice. But yeah, it's fun.
I was going to ask, since you're talking about your one-man show, you do about 200 different impressions, depending on how much time you're given for the show?
Yeah, I still try to fit about 200 in there. Even at the Disney show, when I'm doing a half hour, I still fit in 200 voices. If I'm doing the longer version, there's probably about 250 or so. But I mean, some of them are slight variations. Some of them are characters that are original characters. At the end of the show, I do this bit that is what I was doing there, where I was moving from voice to voice. And I call that similar voices, because all voices are kind of similar. If you just change the tone, you can get from this one to the next. In that bit, I do about 120 voices in about 5 minutes.
So there's like half of them are
right there.
Voices.
Yeah. So,
I was actually going to ask if you have a favorite segment from that show.
Oh, nobody's ever asked me that. That's a good question.
Because you're basically telling a story.
I am. It starts in the beginning, because when I was 4 years old, I knew I wanted to do voices. Now, most people that are in voiceover are on-camera actors, or they were on-camera actors and they kind of found voiceover. They stumbled into it. They were in radio. They, just ended up doing it. I set out from a very young age to do this. This is what I wanted to do. I love doing the stage show. I love being in front of people. I was a stand-up for many years when I was a kid, but voiceover was my passion. So I do have all these favorite little moments in it because I'm telling the story. I think probably my favorite parts are, I love doing the end, because that reaction from the audience at the end is always so great, and it's hard for me to take that in. I don't know how you are. It's like, when somebody gives you a compliment, you're kind of like, oh, thanks. But I'm trying to use it as, a way to pat myself on the back in a good way to kind of go, you entertain people, James. That's okay. That's all right.
No, you put on a good show.
You put on a good show. Take it in. They're trying to thank you. So not me patting myself, but they're patting me on the back, and I try to take that in. So I love that portion of it. But I do love when I show people how I started and where I went from the beginning. I do this bit called The Sound, and I talk about how I was a little kid in my room creating these voices and these characters. And it was all just a little kid just doing these voices. But then in my head, it was this big, powerful voice and telling the story and being this big announcer guy. And seeing little kids in the audience kind of react to that, that's my favorite, because they're like, if I go up to a kid and I go, Johnny Test? And they go, oh yeah, Johnny Test. And I go, did you know I'm also the voice of Johnny Test? Did I totally blow your mind? And they're like, what? And so that stuff is fun. And in the show, when I do those segments, I think that's pretty cool. I like also, I do this one bit. I think probably my favorite bit, because it's a favorite between me and my friends that are all my theater friends. I do Ian McKellen's voice, and I talk about how Plo Koon, who is a Jedi in the world of Star Wars, was based off of Ian McKellen. And so I do this thing where I could say, you could read anything in that voice and it sounds dramatic. So I read from the phone book and I read from stereo instructions. And it's very dramatic and big and speaker instructions, and all that. And that's just fun, because you're just playing. So it's all good. It's all good. I love the whole thing. I have no favorites. I don't know. It's like children. I can't pick a favorite.
Yeah, no, that's always one of our toughest questions is,
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite? But it's impossible. It's like picking children.
Yeah.
But going off of, you mentioned Plo Koon. Well, we learned at Star Wars Celebration that season 2 of Rebels is actually incorporating a lot of characters from the Clone Wars.
It is, yeah.
Is there any chance that maybe some of the characters that you voiced in the Clone Wars could come back and maybe not season 2, but maybe season 3 or 4?
I wish I knew. And I wish I could actually say, I know, but I can't tell you. I truly don't know.
Not even an I don't know wink?
Yeah, not even a, I don't know, Megan. You didn't hit, no. I was surprised when I got the call to do Obi-Wan in season 1, and it was the first 1 or 2 episodes that Obi-Wan had that message. It was a hologram with Kanan, and that was one of those things where we surprised even the cast. They didn't know about that, and I did that alone. They brought me in solo, did it all, and then it came out, and everybody's like, whoa. So that's the way Dave Filoni and the folks at Lucas like to roll. They like to surprise us all. Dave did mention at Celebration when he was asked about that, because he was asked about specific characters or other characters coming back, and he said, if it's pertinent to the story, if it makes sense for that character to come back, we'll bring them back. A character like Plo Koon, it's really a bummer, because since this is happening after Episode 3 and before Episode 4, Plo Koon was killed off.
Order 66.
Maybe. See, here's the thing. Because Plo Koon went down. We saw his ship go down. But he's a Jedi. Maybe he jumped ship. Come on. Anything could happen.
Anything's possible.
One never knows. But,
Ahsoka's still around?
Ahsoka is still around. And and then there was a big announcement at Celebration with Rex and some of the clones, with D. Bradley Baker, who is one of the most amazing voices in Hollywood, bringing his character back of Rex. And so that was cool. So you never know, but I never even know. If I get the call, I'll happily be there.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Thank you.
Because it would be fantastic to see you in future seasons of Star Wars Rebels.
I appreciate it. And, I've been known to do 1 or 2 other voices. So, Dave, if you're watching, I'm available.
Call me.
Yeah. I'll come up with a new one.
Well, you mentioned that you were alone when you recorded that. And you in your one-man show, you talk about talking in a booth to yourself all the time in a padded room. But I was actually wondering if you had a preference for doing voices alone or versus doing it radio play style.
Yeah, I love working with everybody else. I mean, it's just like us being here right now, rather than me being on a Skype call or something where you're just kind of isolated. It's great when we're in the room together, because we play off each other and more things happen. It allows for more of freedom in the flow of the script and for changes to happen and fun things to happen, because we're working off of each other. So that's always fun. The only thing is, it takes twice as long. And it takes twice as long because we all love to talk to each other throughout the whole, so, hey, what are you doing? Oh, yeah, what are you working on? Oh, great, yeah. Did you see this movie? Did you see that? And then we also are doing impressions of whatever we saw or whatever. We're all a bunch of nerds. Voice actors are some of the happiest, most giving, humble people that you're going to work with. And I'm always so blessed to be able to work with the folks that I work with because they're just a giving group of people and they're fun. And we all know we're also some of the luckiest people in the world to do what we do, and we love what we do. So it's just a party, but it does take a lot longer. So that's the drawback. But at the same time, it's still fun. And there's always good snacks. So what are you going to do?
That's always a good time.
Always good, yeah. We're working on a new show, Guardians of the Galaxy, which... okay, good.
Yeah, you're going to be Yondu, correct?
Yondu and Cosmo. So Yondu is basically Michael Rooker did that in the movie, and so I'm doing kind of a version of his voice. You know what I mean, Megan? And then Cosmo did not speak in movie, but he is Russian telepathic cosmonaut dog. So he sounds like this, yes. And so he's a lot of fun. So that is coming out soon, and it is going to be fantastic. It's just fun because it has the same sensibility of the movie. And there's some fantastic voice cast. And Vanessa Marshall, who is on Rebels, is on this. She's Gamora. We've got Kevin Michael Richardson as Groot. We've got Trevor Duvall. Trevor is the actor that played Dookie on Johnny Test. He was my dog Dookie.
Oh, fantastic.
So he's playing Rocket. You've got Will Friedle playing Star-Lord.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
And Will is... When I saw... the cast breakdown in the sheet of whoever it was. I'm like, of course it's Will. Because he's perfect for that very sarcastic, fun sense of humor that can only be done for that character that way. And so he's perfect in it. You've got David Soboleff as Drax. You've got, let's see, who else? Am I missing anybody? But it's a fantastic cast. It really is a fantastic cast.
Will it be canon?
It will be, yeah. I believe so. I hope so. I don't know. I mean, as far as I know, it will be.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Has the release date been announced?
I don't think so.
Dang it.
I don't think so. Yeah.
But I want it now.
I know. Everybody does. It was such a surprise hit, that movie, for people. But the show is, I think, they're really working to make it feel in that same vein. And fantastic writers.
Any idea on the time frame? In terms of how long after the movie it takes place?
Not as far as how long after, but I know that it does take place after the movie. So, we know what we know from the film, at least. But, yeah, I can't say much more than that other than it's a lot of fun. It's fun to do.
We can't wait to hear that. That's so fantastic.
I was in, a couple days ago, doing ADR for the first episode. So that should give us an indication that we're getting closer, because that means then, so the way it works, for people that may not know, is we come in, we get a script, we voice it, and then it takes about 6 months for them to animate it and put it all together, and then we come back in and we do ADR, which is automatic dialogue replacement, where we listen to the little beeps and we get to actually see the finished animation, and they correct things. If they go, well, we changed this line, or a lot of it is the fight sequences. So you do a lot of
a lot of efforts.
Yeah, efforts and grunts and groans and laughs and falls and stuff. So we're in that process right now. I think that's safe to say. I hope nobody gets mad at me for saying that. But yeah, that's where we're at.
Well, we can't wait to see that. That's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, going off of that, I was wondering, typically speaking, how long does it take after you get a script for you to sit down and record? Because I know for different jobs, it's kind of like they throw a script at you and you have to go.
Yes.
Other times, do you get time to digest it a little bit?
Never. No, it's very different than being an on-camera actor where you get this and, we're going to start shooting in 3 months and really get into your character and lose weight or gain weight or change your hair or grow a beard or whatever. It's not like that at all for voiceover. It is, I know, I'll find out, like this week, it's Monday. I'll find out this week what I'm working on as it comes. And then I'll get the script the day before or not. I'll get it right at the session. Most of the time you get it 24 hours in advance. You get to look at it. You at least get to read it. But with Clone Wars, for example, we got it when we walked in the room, and that was it. So most of the time, what you heard us reading in Clone Wars was the second or third time we actually ever spoke those words, which is really kind of cool, but at the same time, you've got to have those kind of acting chops ready as a voice actor to go, okay, I'm looking and I'm going. So, you don't generally get much time at all.
Not much processing time.
No.
For the audition process, then, does that make it really difficult to kind of find a voice that fits a character?
Yeah, it
especially
can.
if you don't really know what kind of where you're at.
Absolutely. And again, that's where as a voice actor you have to be able to give them choices. I talk about that in my show. There's a fun little bit where I play with that, showing the changes of the voices and being able to work on the fly. If they go, give it a British accent, change it up, slow it down, make him younger, make him older, make him heavier, make him thinner, make him, whatever, and you have to just do it. But a lot of times you end up leaving an audition going, oh, that's what I should have done. You're walking out and you see, D. Bradley Baker or Corey Burton or Jim Cummings or one of these guys in the room, and you're going, oh, they're going to do it that. Oh, I should have done it that way. But, but then you go, yeah, but they'll be better at it anyway. So, it's one of those things where you just have to be able to enjoy working on the fly and having no inhibitions, because that's the other thing I tell people when they go, oh, voiceover and what should I do? Read a lot out loud and have no inhibitions about making funny faces or being goofy, making noises. A lot of on-camera actors come in and they're doing a show. We do these shows that are animated series, action heroes and fighting and all of that. And they're very self-conscious about going, they don't want to do it. And that's where, of course, people like myself come in, and then we will do their little efforts and sounds sometimes. But sometimes they end up having fun with it. So it's a different world.
It's a new experience for them.
It is, yes.
So, yeah, actually going back to that, I did want to ask about your audition process for Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
Because going back to the short animated series that they did prior to the 3D animated series Clone Wars, I don't think anybody knew how big it was going to be.
No, not at all. In fact, I was just telling this story the other day because I hadn't thought about it in a while, but I didn't know what I was auditioning for. I knew I was auditioning for a voice match for Ewan McGregor. I knew it was for Star Wars. I did not know it was for a show. I thought it was for a trailer. Because a lot of times I'll get, auditions from my agents, and they'll be like, oh, we need a line of dialogue for this trailer for this new movie from, Andrew Garfield. So like if you watch, I'm sidetracking here, but like the Spider-Man 2 trailers, the movie trailers, there was a part where he goes, I'm the only one that can stop him. I am Spider-Man. That was me. It wasn't him. I am Spider-Man. So they'll find that they didn't have clean dialogue from the movie, or those lines were never actually said in the movie, but they need them to help tell the story in a trailer. That's what I thought I was going in for. So I did it. I listened to Ewan McGregor, and I did the whole thing, where I'm listening. Okay, and I thought to myself, well, he's doing a young Alec Guinness, so I'll just kind of think a young Obi-Wan Kenobi and all that. And I did it, and then I get the call a week later probably from my agents and say, you booked the Obi-Wan Kenobi thing. Great. Oh, that's awesome. I love Obi-Wan. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. So what's it for? It's just like a thing. No, it's a series. I'm like, what? Star Wars animation series. My worlds are colliding and combining, and it's a beautiful thing. So it was really fun to be able to do that. And the funnest part about that show was they were 3 minutes long.
Yeah.
So our script would be, I'm on my way. Anakin, and that was it, and then I thank you, good night, It took longer to park than it did to actually record the dialogue most of the time on that show. And we would record maybe 2 episodes at a time, and it was mostly action, so yeah, it was a lot of fun, but it was very different.
Yeah, it was a very, stylistically speaking, visually and verbally, it was a very different show. Very different,
and Gendy, who was the director of that, who did the Powerpuff Girls and Samurai Jack and all of these shows, just has a very clear-cut vision of what he's wanting to tell, and it really helped style our current Clone Wars, but also our current animation for Star Wars, in my opinion. I think it really did. It set the tone for a lot of things, and it was really important stuff, even though they were 3-minute little cartoons.
Yeah, no, I remember watching those when they were on Cartoon Network, and they blew me away.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, I do want to talk a little bit about the video game side of things.
Yes.
Because you play some very prominent video game characters. Just this.
Come on, you're good for my ego.
One little guy, maybe Ratchet. I don't know if anybody's heard of that game series.
No,
but.
Ratchet and Clank. I don't think anybody's heard of that. Ratchet and Clank is one of those things, and now we have the movie coming out.
Yes.
And I just saw a tweet just before coming in that somebody was saying, oh, they showed it somewhere, but I haven't heard what the release date is yet, but the movie is finished as far as our part is concerned. All of the animation may still be being tweaked, but the voiceover is done. So the movie should be coming out this year. I know that. That's exciting. It's going to tell the origin story of Ratchet and Clank and how they come together, and It's really a fantastic story. T.J. Fixman, Kevin Monroe, both. Kevin Monroe directed it. Kevin directed me in Ninja Turtles and wrote the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie I did back in '07. T.J. Fixman is the writer of most of the games of Ratchet and Clank, certainly the last 4 or 5 at least, and the comic books, and a brilliant writer, talented writer. So those two combining forces, it's a great thing. The games themselves, so little secret, although people probably know it, it's not a big secret. I was not the original voice of Ratchet. My good friend Mikey Kelly, who I was just in a studio with the other day working with, was the original voice of Ratchet for the first game. The 14 or 15 that have followed since then have all been me. And we just went in and are still tweaking a recut of the original game that will come out with the movie. And it's my voice. So officially now it'll be my voice on all of it, which is kind of fun. But again, it's crazy because I think they were saying at one point, they're like, this may be like a Guinness Book record of somebody voicing a character in so many games. Because Ratchet has been in, like I say, I've voiced him in, I think, 15 different games over the course
incredible.
I don't know, maybe 11 years. So, yeah, a lot of games. Ratchet's got a, and the cool thing about Ratchet is it's basically my voice. It's a little different. So, see, now I'm going in my head. How's Ratchet sound? So Ratchet's a little more, I don't know, he's not like cocky, and we try to not make him that way. He's confident, and he's young and heroic and all of that. But so I clean it up. I take the rasp out of my voice, because naturally I have kind of that little Michael J. Fox kind of crackle in there. So I take it out, and I'm just, hey, Clank, so it's more like this. This is pretty much Ratchet's voice. So he's just fun. He's one of those characters that I've just been with for so long now. He's just a part of me. And David Kay, who does Clank, brilliant, awesome. It's so funny, we had never met.
Really?
We did, I think, maybe 8 games before we actually met. And now we're, of course, very good friends and such. And we text each other all the time, excited about the movie, or, oh, were you in doing the thing? Because, again, we don't work together. So that's, the other difference in a video game as opposed to animation or commercial work that you do for radio commercials.
Were you able to do table reads for the movie?
Did we? No,
Oh,
we didn't
that's
even
a
do a table
bummer.
read. We did do a couple of sessions together, and they had us in separate rooms in the same studio. So that was fun. So Ratchet, I'm always in my own little box there. And then David, and I think they brought Jim in as well to do Quark, but yeah, separately. So I was with one or the other at different times so we could have some of that. Because, like the scenes where they meet and things, you want those to be together. So I hope that doesn't give too much away. But yeah, so no, we were together for a little of it. And that was very rare. I mean, never for the video games, but only for the movie. The only video game I have ever done where I've actually been in the studio with another actor was Batman the Brave and the Bold.
Really?
And I have done, I don't know, maybe 100 video games in my career. And yeah, that game was Diedrich Bader was Batman. The TV series was Batman the Brave and the Bold. We did 2 seasons of it. I was Green Arrow, and I was Guy Gardner, who was basically, he was kind of a Dennis Leary kind of character. Oh yeah, hey Batman, oh goody two-shoe. He was kind of a obnoxious guy, but fun to do. So I got to play both of those characters in the video game, and I did those with Diedrich. And Diedrich he's just an awesome guy. I don't know if people know Diedrich from Drew Carey Show, from Whose Line Is It Anyway, from one of my favorite movies, Office Space, where he played the neighbor. Hey, man, kind of this guy. He was awesome. So he was Batman. And
He
was
nailed
great.
it in Brave and the Bold.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
I thought so, too. And I thought we could have done another 2 or 3 seasons of that show. It was so fun to do. So that was the only time I've ever done a video game with another actor. Every time else, I've been alone in my little room. Tidus from Final Fantasy X. There's a big following for that, and that's just celebrated an anniversary too. And we had the HD version come out.
Did you re-record for the HD release?
We re-recorded, or we didn't re-record. We did some new lines, but literally maybe an hour in the studio. But the fun thing was, I was with the old director Jack Fletcher. Not that Jack's old, that sounded wrong. The director
The
of the original director. And Jack is a great guy, and we started all that way back when, and then to finish it was really cool to do that together. We'd done the sequels together. We did there was a movie called The Animatrix that came out, and Jack cast me in that, and I was in 4 of the 9 movies that were in that. I was the detective in the Detective Story and stuff. Those were all thanks to Jack Fletcher, and so yeah, give him a shout out. But yeah, so yeah, different world. Video games, very different world than animation. It's a different mindset you have to get into.
Yeah. Going back to Ratchet and Clank, you said this is the story of how they met. Is this going to be canon with the rest of the video games? Or is it?
I would imagine.
Or is it considered like an adaptation?
I don't know. I would imagine it would have to be, but because they are kind of retelling it now, and they're using the movie and they're using new graphics and they're making it, so I would think it is, but yeah, people don't tell me anything. It's so funny, it's like on Twitter, fans keep asking, when's the movie coming out? When's the movie coming out? And then I'll go, I don't know, and they're like, yes you do, and I'm like, I really don't know. So like, okay, which camera am I at? I have no idea when it's coming out. Trust me. No, it's so funny. They don't generally. I find out the way everybody else does. Mark Hamill, I was interviewing Mark, and I'm like, when did you find out about these things? He's like, on Twitter, like everybody else. It's how we all find out. We don't get a call. There isn't any special announcement or secret meeting. It's just...
Well, they know that if they tell a lot of the actors that's how stuff gets leaked.
Yeah, and a lot of times actors don't mean to, but it happens.
Not just actors, but just people working in general.
Exactly. So, yeah. So, anyways.
That's how stuff gets out.
That's it. It's a big thing, so yeah.
Now, you mentioned Tidus from Final Fantasy, and actually Final Fantasy X was my first introduction to the Final Fantasy world. Cool. So I think that's really cool that you did the voice for him.
Yeah, thanks.
Just kind of going off, like, do you relate to a lot of the characters that you do, or is it kind of just, okay, I'm doing a voice?
That's a great question. Because for the ones that I have kind of become, I guess, more known for or gotten notoriety in, generally speaking, there is something that is very dear to me about the character. Certainly with Tidus, certainly with Ratchet, both of them have issues, family issues that I could relate to. I never knew my father. I never knew my real father. I met him once when I was 7. I didn't know he was my father. I just found out 3 years ago who he was. So, and the crazy thing is, he actually he's no longer with us. He did what I do. He worked in radio and hosted, and he used his voice. That's how he made his living, with his voice. So it was crazy. So with Tidus, I always kind of had this whole thing of, these father figure kind of issues. That character has the same things, so I related to that. With Ratchet, he doesn't know his family. He was abandoned, or the whole story there is there's no more Lombaxes. He's the last one. All of this. So I related to it in that regard. I generally like the characters I'm playing. Sometimes you're like, but even a bad guy, like on Hulk and the Agents of Smash, I played the leader, and the leader was this pompous, obnoxious, big-brained character. But he was fun to play, and so I loved playing him. Yondu was the same kind of thing. I just love this character. He's not good, he's not bad. He's almost, he's like a bounty hunter in the world of Star Wars, where it's just, he's out for himself. I think that's fun to play every once in a while, but I do try to relate to the characters. I do try to find the backstory on them and find where our similarities are. Strangely enough, it just kind of happens that we end up having similarities. It was funny with the Clone Wars cast, where we all had similar traits. And when we were all together, and even still when we're together, we fall into those traits of acting like our characters. So Dave Filoni, our director, always mentioned that. He's like, I'd be sitting there talking to Matt Lanter, who's this, amazing young actor and hunky heartthrob guy, but he's also, the heart of him is Anakin Skywalker. He's got that same thing. And we'll be sitting there talking, and David would go, oh, look at my Anakin and Obi-Wan having their conversations together and stuff. And so it's always fun to do that. But yeah, I do relate to the characters, and I do feel like I have a lot of similar things with them usually.
Going back to Star Wars, you actually have your own Star Wars-oriented show that you're working on.
Oh, thank you, my dear. Yes, shameless plug for me. Yeah. So much like all of you here with this fantastic setup, we have a little studio in Burbank. where we are just producing different content, and we're producing primarily Star Wars content. It's called the Comlink. It's myself and J.C. Reifenberg and Matt Rowbottom and a group of people that we're all kind of working with to make a network of things. David Collins, David was a director. In fact, David directed me in a lot of the video games I did for Star Wars originally. He's an amazing composer, he's an amazing musician and voice actor as well, but also an on-camera talent. So he hosts the news on the Comlink. If you go to YouTube and you look at the Comlink, that's our channel, and you can find out Star Wars news every week. You've got our show. My show is called A Certain Point of View. It's a debate show. So we bring on Star Wars celebrities and experts in the world of Star Wars, and we debate topics like, should the Force Ghost Anakin be Hayden, or should it be Sebastian Shaw from the original movie? Should Disney be using George Lucas's original treatment, or should they go off on their own thing? Various things, and then lighthearted ones. Better, ship to fly. Sorry. X-Wing, B-Wing, Y-Wing. Which one would you want? Better Han Solo costume. So we debate the really fun issues and the tough issues and the passionate issues of Star Wars. And we just had a new episode come out today, and it's Sam Witwer, who played Darth Maul, and many other characters, Starkiller, of course, in Force Unleashed. And he's an amazing guy, a fabulous actor, but also the biggest Star Wars nerd you'll ever meet. So it's great because he's got strong opinions, and so it's a fun show. It's a short show. It's like 5 minutes. You get to be immersed in the world of Star Wars for a little bit, but it's a lot of fun. Yeah, so I hope people check it out.
Well, it's the thing that fans are always talking about.
Yeah. There's always a debate in the world of Star Wars. Everybody has opinions. I hate the prequels. I love the prequels. I love the originals. I don't know this. I like Clone Wars. I don't like Clone Wars. I like Rebels. Whatever. So there's all those opinions. There's so many different worlds of it. Now there's the new stuff. So there's a lot to debate. So we'll be busy for a long time. Yeah.
Definitely. What are you most excited about from the new movie?
Oh boy. So I guess I can tell this story. So I was hosting the main stage at Star Wars Celebration. That's also where they premiered the trailer. So we were in there rehearsing the nights before while they were setting up the projector to play the trailer. So they were playing the trailer all night while they were setting the sound the night before. And so they weren't playing the images, but the sound, and they were configuring the sound.
Oh, wow.
So we're in our meetings and we're discussing the shows, and we're going to do this, and then you hear, and we all stopped, got very quiet, or what was it? That's the song, I'm sorry. And then you hear, the Force is strong in my face. And we're like, whoa, what is going on? Wait a second. And it's okay to say it now because it's out and everybody knows it. But there were these parts, and I got so excited that it was Mark's voice and that it was Mark's trailer telling Luke Skywalker's story. Because I've been very privileged to know Mark Hamill for, probably 15 years now, and work with him in various capacities in voiceover. He's one of the most giving and humble and talented voice actors, as well as just on-camera actors. So he is fantastic. And the fact that he's getting his, just dues in this world right now, and that so much attention, I was excited for him in that. I was also, like everybody else, as happy as a little girl when Han Solo came on and Chewie, we're home. And everybody loses their mind. Come on, how could you not? But I was also thrilled for my dear friend Peter Mayhew, who plays Chewbacca, because he's in the movie and he's playing Chewie. And so, again, all these folks are my friends now, and it's like, I'm happy for them. I'm happy for what they're getting to experience and be a part of. Anthony Daniels back as C-3PO. But I will say, one of the coolest things is one of the shots in the trailer is BB-8.
Yes.
The little droid that we were kind of like in the first one, we were kind of like, oh, what's this? It's going to try to be a
soccer
new thing.
ball.
Yeah, what's going on? So BB-8 came rolling out. I don't know if you've seen any of that footage, but he is a real working droid, and he works just like he spins. His head somehow stays on top, and it moves around, and it's the most fantastic thing you'll ever see. And it really chokes you up when you see it. And my daughter and I got pictures with him, and he's got his own little voice. So that was really exciting. There's that great shot where he kind of peeks around the corner in that teaser, and it's just a blip. But I don't know, there's so much to be excited about in it. J.J. Abrams is one of my favorite filmmakers, so the fact that he's doing it, that's fantastic. We got to show a film that we created, that J.C. Reifenberg and myself and the folks at the Comlink created, at my show's opening that is a little tribute to J.J. Abrams and a tribute to Star Wars. I'll be showing it exclusively at Star Wars Weekends, and then we're going to post it online on our YouTube channel in a few weeks when we're done. But
so people who can't make it out to Florida can check it out on your guys' YouTube channel.
Yes. Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, I did want to ask, because you do have a background in stand-up, and you've done a lot of talks in addition to your one-man show. I believe you did a TED Talk not too long ago.
I did, yeah.
Inspiration seems to be a really big part of your career, and not only in terms of your voice acting, but also in trying to get other people to get their voices out there.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Why is inspiration a big part of what you do?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking it. So I have always been, again, as I mentioned, I grew up not knowing my father. I grew up in a single-family home and kind of a latchkey kid that grew up with a different time and place. The TV kind of raised me and such. And I always pursued my dreams as much as I could. And my mother was always very kind to say, pursue your dreams and go after them. And my brother and sister were always very encouraging. They were much older than me, 5 and 6 years older than me. And they loved watching me perform. So my family, and then my friends, and then my wife, who we've been together 24 years now. We've been married 24 years. We've been together 28 years. Met in high school. She's always been so much of a voice there for me to pursue my dreams and to inspire me. So I just feel like the luckiest guy in the world with those things, and I want to share them with other people, and I want to show people how if you pursue your dreams, they actually do come true if you set goals and write them down and try to achieve them. So I wrote a book about it as well to inspire people. But the TED Talk was really cool because it lines up with all of that. And TED Talks, I mean, to be able to do one, that's kind of it's a neat honor. And they're just fun because you have anywhere from like 7 minutes to 15 minutes. I took 15. I got a lot of voices I got to tell. But and I love telling the story because I was hit about 10 years ago with toxic mold poisoning, and I lost my voice. And that was at the height of my career, really. It was when everything was really just, I had just got the voice of Fred Flintstone, we were doing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Johnny Test, the Clone Wars, all that stuff was just going full force. And I couldn't speak. And the mold got me really sick. And so it was kind of a red letter date. And I talk about it in my stage show as well. And I talked about it in the TED Talk. And I found that was one of those things where I could make a choice. I could be really down about this. I could revert. I could give up. Or I could use it to strengthen myself and inspire other people. And so that was really the full push and development of this whole kind of inspiration part of me, I think. And it has been a great blessing in my life. The crazy thing about it is I was diagnosed with this toxic mold poisoning on February 13th, 2005. I was very sick, couldn't speak. My throat was just massive laryngitis and infections. They didn't know if I'd ever get my full range back. It took a long time. It took several years to kind of work back to a point where I was strong again. But what we found out 6 months later was that was the same day my daughter was born, because my daughter is adopted, and she's adopted from China. So finding out that on the same day I thought my life was kind of changing and ending of what I knew, not ending, I don't mean to sound dramatic, but ending a chapter, it was really opening a whole new one to make it even better and stronger and bigger, but it was also opening this chapter for our family. And it was a nice little promise to say, it's okay, everything's gonna work out. And my daughter is the greatest blessing that my wife and I could ever imagine. And she is just, everybody that meets her is like, she's just so alive. And so she inspires me now too. So long answer to a simple question. I'm sorry to go on and on, but it's just important stuff, I think, to people to pursue your dreams.
Was that the idea behind the book as well?
Yeah. So when I got on Twitter, I don't know how many years ago now, whenever it all kind of started, I saw that everybody's got an opinion. Most are pretty negative. I wanted to be a positive voice to people. Certainly most of my fans are younger people or college age, or people that are trying to figure out what they want to do in life. And these cartoons and these games were things that were their escape. And so they tend to, write and say, hey, you inspired me, or you encouraged me, or you just helped me have fun at a rough time of my life, because being a teenager is a rough time. So I thought, okay, I've got an opportunity to actually inspire people. So I'm going to promised myself to write something positive every time I do. And so I started doing that. And then I thought, well, after a year, I've got enough for a book. And everybody kept saying, oh, you should put these all into a book. I'd buy it. And I was like, okay, well. So I took all of the inspirations that I was putting in Twitter and Facebook, and I tweaked them a little, changed them up here, added a part where you accept it, you forward it along to somebody else, and you put it into practice in your day, and you check off the little boxes. At the bottom, I ask you a question that is pertaining to that positive inspiration to get you to where at the end of a year, you have a journal of your thoughts and your inspirations and your goals and your dreams. And I think that's pretty cool too. Anytime, because a lot of people don't journal, a lot of people don't write things down. And if you do this, and it could be a sentence. I just ask you a simple question, and you can just write down a sentence. I'm feeling inspired today by something I saw, or a piece of music, or somebody said something nice to me, whatever it is. A year later, 10 years later, 20 years later, you can look back and you go, oh yeah, I felt that. So it's an easy way to journal, hopefully, and I kind of trick people into it. As a kid, I was not the best student in school. And so I liked to be tricked into learning. So I try to kind of trick people into it as well.
Okay, so it's not like a book where you just have paragraphs and paragraphs of like inspirational life stories. It's actually getting people to write down their own thoughts and experiences.
Yeah, it's a daily, and I didn't do like a calendar where it's January, February, March. It's just numbers. So it starts with day 1, and then it goes all the way to day 365. And you can set it down. I mean, I'm very clear in the foreword of the book. If you are not somebody that can do something daily like that, then set it down. Come back to it a couple days later, and you pick it up, and you pick up from day 5 or wherever you left off. And it is just a day at a time, something to give you just a little boost. Hopefully you keep it on your nightstand and you read it in the morning when you're getting ready or something, or while you're eating breakfast, and you share it with your family or your friends or whatever. And then you can take a picture of it and tweet that out to somebody else, or text it to somebody and go, hey, I read this today. Hope it inspires you. So that's the gist of it. The book is called JAT 365. So JAT is what all my fans have started to call me, because James Arnold Taylor is really hard to write out, and it's so long.
And of course, whole words.
I know, man, I'm telling you. And I'm of course James Arnold Taylor, because there's James Taylor, the singer. So JAT is what people call me, JAT. And then 365 is 365 daily inspirations for the pursuit of your dreams. And there it is. And people can get it on Amazon.com. And again, another shameless plug. That's all I'm doing. I'm just plugging all these things. I'm not trying to get you all to buy things or do anything, but it's fun. It's stuff that I'm doing.
Well, no, it's fantastic. It's all part. We here at AfterBuzz, we like hearing your guys' stories when we bring you into these shows. And that's all part of your story. And that's amazing.
Thank you.
So, yeah, definitely, for sure. We are running towards the end of our time.
Yeah, boy.
But
as much as you need.
Oh, really? Woo-hoo.
Well, it's good, because I've got a lot more voices to do.
Oh, good. Yeah, don't tell me that. I'll stay here all day. But I do want to know about some of the upcoming projects that you have that you can talk about.
Yeah, man.
NDAs are such jerks.
Oh, boy. It is so weird. You couldn't imagine 10, 15 years ago that there would be nothing you can tell anybody about in your way. So what do you do for a living? Oh, I can't tell you. I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you. No, it's one of those things where I think, well, we mentioned Ratchet. And I can talk about that. We know that's coming out. We mentioned Guardians of the Galaxy. I can't tell you any of the story, but I can tell you that it's coming out. The Star Wars things are coming out. Gosh, what can I talk about? Okay. So I did a show just the other day with Catherine Tabor, who played Padme Amidala on the Clone Wars. We've done these shows. It's for Disney. It's called Club Penguin. Now, Club Penguin is really fun. It's stop motion animation. We did a Christmas special this last year. And they are doing holiday specials and different specials. I think they're going to do like 6 of them. So we just finished doing 2 of the other ones. And I think I can say that at least. It doesn't give anything away, because we want people to actually look for them when they come out. So Club Penguin is great. I play Roof House, and he's a penguin, and he's just kind of, he's kind of the nerdy penguin guy, and that's usually what I end up playing. I don't know why. I guess I'm kind of a nerd myself. So Club Penguin, just did that. That'll be coming out. Then we did the Halloween one. That'll be coming out. That'll be fun. Always fun to do Halloween specials, so they're always cool. Let's see, what else? There are some that I just can't talk about. Ooh, there's that. No, I can't. No, but what else? There was something else I was thinking. It's really tough, though, because there are so many little... Spider-Man, I did some episodes of Spider-Man. I don't think I can say who I'm playing or anything, but that show is on the air, so it's fair enough to say that I was in the studio because
That's Ultimate Spider-Man, right?
Yes, Ultimate Spider-Man, and a lot of fun. And Drake Bell, who plays Spider-Man, and it's funny because now see, I play Spider-Man whenever Drake doesn't play Spider-Man. Because I'm Lego Spider-Man, I'm Lego Silver Surfer. Oh, there's some of the games, the Marvel Heroes games. So those are out, and those are an online game where you log in and you can play them online. So in that game, I'm Magneto. I play Magneto, who is the most powerful of all mutants. And then I'm also, am I Spider-Man in that? I think I'm Spider-Man. I'm the Silver Surfer. And the Silver Surfer is very serious. He takes everything very literally. And then I'm also the Iceman. That's who I am, an Iceman in that one. And so those are constantly coming out. Those games, you can be watching for those, and they're really cool. I did that one where I was Nightmare Robin recently on Batman Infinite Crisis. So that's a cool one. So I guess there's some things that I can talk about, but there's others I can't.
Now, I actually do have one question going back to one of your earliest voice acting roles, at least on IMDb.
Sure.
You mentioned doing ADR earlier, and I noticed that one of the first things on your resume was actually a Miyazaki film.
Yes.
I believe that was Nausicaa?
Nausicaa, yeah. So I was several characters in that. I was one of the three old guys. And he was somewhere in here, and I did a lot of that kind of stuff. And I was a soldier, a young soldier, and if you hear it, you'll go, oh yeah, that's James, because it's just my regular voice. And then a bunch of other little incidental ones in there, but that was fun. Then Mark Hamill, I think, was in that, Patrick Stewart, and that was, and the funny thing is, I am on IMDb, it reads it's coming out in the 80s. But the American dub was done in the late 90s or 2000s or something that we did it. So, but it was, a very early thing to do. And it was a lot of fun to do because those films are amazing. The animation in them, the storytelling, there's such a fan base for those. And so anytime somebody actually sees those, I can win people over with that credit. That's my street cred right there.
I was in a Miyazaki film.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. Very cool. Yeah.
It was just on my mind because the last Ghibli film for a little bit is coming out pretty soon.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, it's exciting stuff. And you never know what to expect from all that. And the animation it's the same, but it's different every time. And it's exciting stuff. So, yeah.
But with ADRing, that's a lot different than when you're allowed to just kind of go for it. And a video game, I imagine, is very similar because you have to match the pre-rendered animation.
Sometimes, yeah. Now, in games that we do, like a Ratchet and Clank, they do it just like we would animation, where we voice it first and then they animate. But with a game like Final Fantasy, it was lip sync, because the game was already done and we're redubbing it in English. And a lot of people, because people either love or hate Tidus. And it's Tidus, it's not Titus. Everybody thinks, is it Titus? I don't know if you know the reason why it's Tidus. But here's the simple version. They were doing a promo. They had an American narrator in Japan. He was in a room with a bunch of Japanese folks speaking Japanese. And they said, say it how you would say it. And the guy pronounced it Tidus. So it stuck. So there's some guy out there responsible for it, Tidus, when everybody else reads it Titus. But it is Tidus. I kind of like that it's Tidus now because it's different.
It's distinctive.
And then I also know when people come up and they go, so you voiced Tidus. And I go, oh, you've been listening. Because he never actually says his name, and they don't really say his name in the game. But
I don't think I heard his name said up until Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, exactly right. And so it's one of those things. But yes, when we were talking about the ADR of that is very different, and people kind of got on me about this, like matching the lip flap and stuff, and it's like it was all done in Japanese, and then we had to match it, and then a lot of times too we had the directors there, so you had translators. You have Jack Fletcher who's directing, then you have the producer that is the translator, translating to all of the folks that are hearing it and are used to hearing it from the Japanese actor. And it's a very different world because if you do a thing where he gets punched in the Japanese animation and in that style, he would go, hey. Now, I wouldn't do that as an American. I'd go, ugh. And so I'd go, ugh. And they'd go, no. Hey. And so they'd make me do it like
You're
that.
doing it wrong.
Yeah. And I'd go, well, well, guys, and then they'd all talk, and they go back and forth, and then they come back and go, can you just do it the way they asked also, just in case? And so we have it. But then a lot of times they would time compress words or time stretch words, in the computer to make them fit the stuff. And I hear it and you can hear it, so like if I say, I'm so hungry, which is a line of Titus's, it'll be, I'm so hungry. And it's because it's been time compressed and it sounds a little weird. But also, people go, oh, he's so whiny. It's like, yeah, that's the way they wanted him. I didn't look at him and go, I'm going to just whine through this whole, 100 hours of dialogue. They directed me that way. So cut the voice actors some slack every once in a while, people. Yeah. No.
Quit the hate on Titus for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I actually do want to ask one more question.
Sure.
Going back to inspiration, you said, obviously that's a huge part of your work. Do you have any advice for people who are aspiring to be in entertainment themselves?
Yeah, it's a whole other world than when I started. Again, I started nearly 30 years ago as a stand-up comic. And it was a very different world, and you didn't have all this at our disposal. And it's beautiful and it's wonderful that it's all here now, but it makes it harder to know exactly what to do. So I have found, even with all that being the case, talent always does come to the surface. And if you have a love for this, that's where your talent comes from. So people kind of sometimes go, well, maybe I'm not the best singer, or maybe I'm not the best voice actor, or I don't have the most unique voice, or I don't have a range of voices. No, but you have what you have. And if you have a love for it and a passion for it, that will come through and you'll accomplish something with it. To be grateful for every opportunity, every time I am in front of a microphone, or in back of a microphone, I should say, I'm grateful. And I say a prayer of thanks, and I'm so honored to do it because I'm doing what I always wanted to do. So any opportunities you get to experience it, whether it's a movie on an iPhone or in front of a camera on a set like this with, several cameras and microphones and fancy stuff, enjoy it. Have a passion for it. And pursue it and know about it. Know how it all works. Know the technology. So, I snuck in the room at the radio stations that I was working at, sweeping up when I was a kid, 17, and taught myself how to use all the equipment because I wanted to and I knew I needed to so I could understand it all. So I'm still a sound engineer to this day. I produce and do all my own stuff because I love it. So find the passionate parts of you. And if you're like, yeah, but that's just not my thing, but I like writing. Well, then be passionate about writing. I like directing. Be passionate about directing or producing. People don't realize producing can be a wonderful thing. I produce a lot of stuff, and that's where you get to just be there and take it all in and go, hey, how about if we do this or that, or having that oversight to see everything. So there's so many realms in entertainment to do. Like interviewing people, that's great. It's a great way to be in it and get to interact with people, but it's also to show what you can do. You're showing me your energy and excitement in it too. And you're also showing that you have a great knowledge of my work, which is so important when you're interviewing somebody. So it's great. So it's like, it makes me better because you're doing, what you love. So I just tell people to love what they do, to study what they do, to know the people that are the best at what they want to do. And that'll help you. It'll all help.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come in and talk to us today. Where can people who want to find out more about you and about the work that you're doing?
Come on, you're too kind to me.
Where can they go?
They can go to JamesArnoldTaylor.com is a great way to go there, although it takes a long time to spell it out. If you go to JamesArnoldTaylor.com, you'll find links to all of my stuff. You'll find links to my YouTube page, my Twitter, my Instagram, and all of that, my Facebook. But you can also follow me on Twitter at Jat Actor, which is J-A-T Actor, A-C-T-O-R. So you can find me there. You can find me on the Comlink. You can find me on Instagram, on Facebook. I don't use my Facebook as much anymore. I find that Twitter is the one place that if people really want to interact with me, they really want to ask me a question. Not that I don't. It's me on Facebook as well. And it's me answering the questions. I just go to that maybe fewer, a couple times in the week, as opposed to Twitter. I'm on it all the time. I'm constantly watching it and stuff. In fact, I'm having withdrawals right now that I haven't been able to be on it during this. But so yeah, that's probably the best place for people to interact with me is on Twitter at Jat Actor.
All right. Well, fantastic.
Thank
Again,
you.
thank you so much
My
for joining
pleasure.
us today.
Any last voice that you want from me? What do you want? Christopher
gosh.
Walken, well, Michael J. Fox, Jay
Your Michael J.
Baruchel.
Fox is fantastic. I want to hear your Christopher Lloyd really quick.
Great Scott, Marty. It seems as though we're out of time. Well, wait a second, Doc. Can't we just go back in time and start the whole interview over? Well, there would be a problem with the space-time continuum if we did that, Marty. But, boy, this is heavy. That's my line. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Bender?
Bender from Future.
Bender. Oh, that's John DiMaggio.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if I'd want to step on John's. Bender is great. He's just one of those. Yeah. Oh, I love him. And Billy West doing Fry and all those. Oh, God. These people are my heroes. But yeah, Bender is on. You guys got to get John on here if you haven't already because he's fantastic. Okay. I'll tell him he's got to come on.
Oh, fantastic.
No pressure.
None whatsoever.
He will blow the walls down with the power of his voice, though.
I don't know if our studio could handle that.
I don't know.
Well, thank you again
Thank
for
you so
coming
much,
in.
yeah.
Thank you to our fans for listening. Again, if you haven't already done so, go to iTunes, rate, subscribe, leave a comment. You can follow us on AfterBuzz at AfterBuzzTV.com. I combined the website and the Twitter.
Yeah, no, do it all.
And you can follow me on Twitter at The Menguin. That's TheMenguin. I'm also on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz, including Orphan Black, which is a lot of fun this season. And I've also started writing articles for the movie Chick. So that's Chick with 2 Ks. Be sure to check those out. Again, thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for
Megan.
joining us today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, and may the force be with you.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.